Last summer, a Bellevue police officer was covering the Vice President Kamala Harris detail in Seattle. He was ejected from his motorcycle over an on-ramp onto Interstate 5. He fell 60 feet into oncoming traffic, survived, and 6 months later, City of Bellevue wants to cut his insurance, not pay. It's part of the deal. It's the union contract. This just doesn't seem reasonable. Let's get into it. Here we go.
Officer Kevin Beretta has been out of work since the August 15th accident, but his union contract only covers him for 6 months after that injury. Cairo 7's Brittany Toulis is near where that crash happened, and Brittany, his attorney says speed played a factor in his fall.
They do, but they also say Officer Kevin Beretta was going fast because he was on the vice presidential motorcade, and he fell off that bridge right there.
It's part of his job. That's what these guys do. You know.
And you can see just how high 60 feet really is.
Let's look at this.
In addition to the speed.
Yeah. Okay. So horrific. So you get launched over this little barrier here into oncoming traffic. So it'd be like dropping down into here, 60 feet. I mean, that's some Evel Knievel stuff, right? I mean, horrific. And the guy lives. Brutal.
Attorneys say that turn and low guardrails all played factors. Officer Kevin Beretta's August 15th started with all smiles. This picture is from before he left his house that day. He wouldn't come home for another month after suffering this lengthy list of injuries following his 60 feet fall off the
Remember that list right there. We'll go through it. These are horrific.
Michigan Street Bridge onto I-5 traffic below. According to his attorneys, the motorcycle officer's bike lost control trying to keep up with the motorcade.
The task requires you to travel at high speeds and to maneuver at high speeds. It's because the motorcade, the Secret Service, moves at a high speed from one location to the next for security purposes. So he was just doing his job. He was negotiating a turn, trying to follow the vice president's vehicle, and then he couldn't negotiate it at the speed that he was going.
You know, when you see a cop and he's like, just barreling. Yeah, that's what he was doing. This is literally job description. So whether he had an accident or not, you know.
The bridge guardrail meant to keep drivers safe is also just over 2 feet high. The union contract between the city and Bellevue Police Officers Guild gives all injured officers 180 days from day of injury to recover. On day 181, their health benefits lapse, and they have to turn to COBRA alternative health insurance, which will cost the family a couple $1,000s more a month per his attorney.
That is simply not right. I mean, guys in service, and it's just.
The city did send me a
right.
statement pointing to the union contract as a binding agreement that's consistent with other cities in the region. The statement also says he can continue coverage if he works part-time, but right now doctors say he's not healthy even for partial duties. For now in Seattle, Brittany Toulis, Cairo 7 News.
I think it's a damn miracle the guy's alive. And number two, that he isn't just, you know, he's mentally there. I mean, if he's able to function mentally, I mean, talk about 60 feet onto I-5 concrete. I mean, he didn't just absolutely rack your brain. That's a miracle. It's two miracles. I mean, so many in this news story. And then 6 months later, yeah, you know what? Sorry about that big accident you did in the line of duty, but you know, deal's a deal. When I first read this story, I was a little bit reluctant to report on it because, you know, city and insurance and contracts and unions, that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, right? I'm a real estate guy. So when I first read it, I'm like, all right, but you had a contract, you know, the city's going to say, this is the deal. This is what you signed. But in real estate, you're just talking about money. You're talking about profit. Somebody's going to make some, somebody's going to lose a little bit. You're talking about a guy's life who wasn't out lollygagging. It's not like he was playing grab ass like the protesters Summer of Love 2020 and getting hit by a car. He was literally hustling to catch up to the motorcade on a motorcycle, as you do, because those can go faster. And he had a wipeout. And now, when he should be in rehab, I mean, 6 months, can you imagine flying off, Evel Knievel style onto I-5 oncoming traffic. And then only 6 months later, city tells you, yeah, you know what? That's a terrible accident and all, but you got to figure this out on your own because contracts that, deal's a deal. No. All right. So we started off with Cairo. We are going to move on to Jason Rantz, KTTH, Conservative Talk Radio. And so what I did in preparation for this is I read all the news stories out there that were available, mostly local, and they were all pretty consistent as to the details. I felt like Jason Rantz had a little bit greater description. So we're going to go with him, and, we support conservative here, right? City of Bellevue will deny Officer Kevin Beretta health insurance benefits following months of treatment after sustaining critical injuries while serving on the detail for Vice President Kamala Harris. His attorneys accused the city of behaving callously and shamefully. Another man in blue that is retired, he indicated city doesn't want to pay. City doesn't want to pay. City needs to pay in this case, in my opinion. I'm a real estate guy. So, take that with a grain of salt. But from a human standpoint, hey, the guy was doing his job. He got really messed up. I mean, he's lucky to be alive. And now you're going to pull what he needs because this guy needs to be in rehab, right? I mean, if his doctor is saying, yeah, no, you're not going anywhere, buddy. You need to be in rehab, and not for opiates, not for fentanyl, right? Just to get your body moving so you can go back and support your family, because he is not very old. You got some young kids, young wife. Beretta served on the motorcade for Harris during her visit to the Seattle area on August 15th, 2023. It's a high-risk job because as a motorcycle officer, he must speed up ahead of the vice president's entourage to clear traffic or pedestrians, wait for the entourage to pass, and then speed up again to clear them again. So it's that they're playing Leapfrog, basically, right? And so in hustling on his bike, he didn't make it, and boom, had an accident. Before the accident, Beretta was clearing a pedestrian from the road, so he was playing catch up. Hey, you got to get out of here. We got the VP coming through. Where was the VP at the border yesterday? The president was there, but our czar, Vice President Kamala Harris, czar of the border, the southern border, she didn't go? Did everybody forget about that? What happened? Where's Kamala Harris at the border? Who knows, right? While catching up to the Harris entourage, Beretta was ejected from his motorcycle while on the Michigan Street Bridge. He fell nearly 60 feet on I-5 below. Beretta's attorney, Karen Kohler of Seattle-based Strickmatter firm, exclusively tells the Jason Rantz show on KTTH that it was then on the Michigan Street Bridge when he did not negotiate the curb quickly or sufficiently enough, and he was ejected over the railing. Oh, man. Kohler said that there is only a 27-inch barrier, so a little over 2 feet, on the sides of the ramp at this location, but the current railing standards for ramps are 42 inches. All right. Is there liability on the city's part for that? I don't know. But, current standards are that needs to be higher. Well, guy went over this one. It wasn't. It's unclear how close a vehicle from the entourage was to Beretta when the accidents occurred. The officer fell into oncoming traffic. Imagine that person that rolls up to him. You see a guy getting ejected off a bike, or maybe you just, boom, you see the body flying over and you're like, holy hell, what is going on here? And you screech to a halt, hoping people behind you don't just, ram into you. I mean, the fact that he wasn't run over is, another not minor, it's a major miracle. But a driver was able to stop before hitting him. Beretta suffered significant injuries, as you do when you're ejected off your motorcycle onto Interstate 5 concrete into oncoming traffic. He suffered significant injuries, landing him in the ICU in critical condition. Just lucky to be alive. The injuries included a left clavicle fracture, a retroperitoneal bleed. I butchered that, but that's what it is. That's a bleed somewhere in the stomach area. Left elbow, multiple tendons ruptured or severed. Sounds like he landed on his left side. I don't know, but I'm guessing from the injury list. L1, L2 burst fractures, that's in your spine, with subsequent spinal cord injury, and right leg internal degloving. That is when the soft tissue and the muscle just gets torn off entirely. I mean, it just sounds terrible. 6 months, yeah, you know what? The doctor says that, you're not fit for work and only place you should be is rehab, but, deal's a deal. Contract's a contract. That's where, the difference between real estate and public service, specifically first responders. City of Bellevue should make him whole. I mean, just keep that going. Do what you need to do to get this guy back on the streets. Because at a time when Seattle is bitching about not having enough cops, Bellevue didn't go that direction with the whole defund the police deal. But there's a lot of police forces out there that need police officers. Putting this guy back to whole, meaning getting his insurance coverage extended for however long it takes to put him back, 100% or whatever that's going to look like, because he'll never be 100%. But getting him back together sends a message to first responders, anybody in policing, anybody fire department, emergency, whatever it is. It sends a message. All right, we're going to actually support you guys, not pull the plug after 6 months, because, contract's a contract, and that whole union thing, and you got to stand behind it. City of Bellevue doesn't want to pay a bill. That's the bottom line here, right? I mean, am I missing something? I don't think I am. If I am, let me know in the comments, right? It's a miracle that he is alive and that he is not brain damaged, his attorney noted. After several surgeries, he was released to begin his long journey to recovery. But the 39-year-old married father of 3 now faces an unexpected hurdle. The city's Human Resources Office is cutting his health benefits on February 29th. That was 2 days ago. The union contract with the city stipulates healthcare coverage will only last 6 months after an officer is injured. Well, how about if the guy nearly dies in the line of duty? Is there an exception for that? These are the things that I don't know. And you know what? Legally, City of Bellevue can probably stonewall him and say, you know what? Deal's a deal. This is the contract we signed. We are under legally no more obligation. But from a PR standpoint, it would look a lot better if City of Bellevue was somehow able to squeak out just a small exception for this guy. Keep that insurance going. We're not talking about, paying him out millions of dollars here. I haven't seen that. What we're seeing is, hey, we just need to figure out a way that this guy can keep that insurance going. Doesn't have to pay the COBRA, which is somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000, which is supplemental insurance, because basically he's off the city paying for his insurance. The 6 months of eligible coverage will lapse on February 29th, leaving Beretta with limited and costly options, like enrolling in the COBRA coverage. Kohler says it will cost him upwards of $3,000 a month, and he's worried he won't be able to care for his family and afford the health care. He's not able to work, even partially. He, in order for him to be able to work moving forward, I would guess, and I am no physical therapist, this guy needs some serious physical therapy, which he has been getting. But when you take a spill like that, I mean, when living is just a miracle, then it's probably going to take a little bit longer than 6 months. I don't know if you've ever had an injury, like a serious injury. Sometimes you'll have that the rest of your life. Just, this isn't working out good. I've got a shoulder that's just been, ruined from years of being in the gym and we're doing ridiculous stuff, shoulder presses way too heavy. This guy had his muscle tissues torn apart. And, it's going to take a lot longer than, let's just do a couple of, military presses and it'll all be fine. Bellevue Police Department tried to bring Beretta back to work with light duties. What's he going to do? Right? I mean, he should be in physical therapy, whatever the doctor prescribes him, not trying to work. Again, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, but just from a human being standpoint, that's kind of what jumps out at me. And that's part of why I'm covering this, is because I talk continuously about law and order, because it's so much easier to sell real estate in areas that have law and order. And in order to have law and order, you need to have enough cops. You need to have enough firefighters. You need to have enough dudes driving the ambulances, right? You need to have enough EMTs, everybody. You got to have enough, personnel. You got to have enough of everybody in the system. And right now, policing is so down. And that whole notion of, support your first responders. So this is a PR issue. That's what this really is. Aside from this guy just being destroyed, and hey, you know what? Never mind your muscles being torn off your bones and whatnot. Get out there, Junior, and let's try this again, and we'll give you some light duty. According to the contract, he could continue to accrue health benefits if he could perform modified duty tasks. I mean, my thought is, F that. Let the guy do rehab for as long as it takes. I mean, am I wrong? I don't think so, but Kohler said his primary physician wouldn't clear him for modified duty tasks. Yeah, no, this guy needs to put his body back together. Otherwise, it's, when you don't take the muscles and all the joints and everything and get them going the way they should be, they tend to form in a way that they shouldn't. I mean, his job needs to be rehab, and not because he's whacked out on crack, because he took a huge tumble. If he did it, he would put his recovery and family in jeopardy. There you go. Union negotiations reportedly hit a brick wall. Bellevue Police Officers Guild is handling negotiations with the city, hoping to come to an agreement. It appears that this is the first time a long-term health insurance issue has come up, as Bellevue officers have not previously suffered such serious injuries. Normally, you would probably be dead, right? And this wouldn't be an issue. Dude's dead, or you're in a coma, and then you die. That's probably normally. When I heard about this accident this past summer, I remember hearing about it and thinking, I don't even want to read that story. Because the guy goes over a bike 60 feet down. Poof. I don't even want to know what that looks like. Looks like what we're talking about. It looks horrific. Consequently, the union contract did not anticipate the need for extended coverage. Because most of the time you're dead, right? You're just an absolute vegetable. Well, yeah. Kohler says the union has hit a brick wall in negotiations and said the city was not getting creative to help. They don't want to pay a bill. They're stonewalling. Now, if we make an exception for this guy, then everybody's going to want an exception that, is chasing after Kamala Harris's motorcade and getting a crazy wreck. They're all going to want exceptions. It's rare when somebody, in my opinion, as a real estate guy, it's rare that you would make it through this to the point where, 6 months goes by. And so that tells you how often, people in this situation make it through. Not very often. I can't tell you why they wouldn't, other than they're being inhuman and wanting to hold everything to the letter of the law. Well, and that is my first thought. A deal's a deal. It's in the contract. But, and like I talk about, it's everything after the but in those kind of sentences. That's the real deal, right? But they should pay for it. They should make an exception. They should make this whole by paying this guy's insurance. It's a PR thing, which City of Bellevue takes care of its own. Seattle region takes care of its own, because Bellevue isn't that close to Seattle. And didn't they defund the police? Aren't they having a hard time? Aren't they constantly bitching about not having enough cops in the Seattle precincts? Yes, they are. I read about it here all the time. Seattle Police Department is at the lowest levels in the past 20 years. They're roughly 600, 800 officers shy. And that is not happening just in Seattle. That's all over. Where was it that I did a podcast the other day? Was it San Francisco? They didn't have a single patrol officer available for duty. It was San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco, because all of the street cops were at a city council meeting providing security. So they had to bring in a bunch of detectives and other officers, not normally, hey, you were speeding, that kind of thing. You got fentanyl, you got some fetty there. This is not just a local Seattle Bellevue issue. This is a nationwide issue. And so this really puts a spotlight to, hey, are you going to take care of cops? Because you said you weren't going to. You said you're going to defund them summer of 2020, summer of love. Are we revisiting that again? What are we doing here? Because it doesn't look like this is a huge nut for the city of Bellevue to cover. All right. But that's me. I don't really know the ins and outs of this. I'm giving you my opinion. I can't tell you why they wouldn't other than the inhuman. According to a source speaking on the condition of being anonymous, it's human resources, HR, and the city manager's office that have been unwilling to compromise. A Bellevue Police Officer Guild representative did not respond to a request for comment by publication time. Bellevue officers are not responding to the news. Well, livid, the city does not appear to have their backs. I would be too. I mean, you're already in an industry that has just been crapped on by the American public. Defund the police, greatest concept ever. Within a year, you know what? I think we need some more cops. Good Lord. Crime is accelerating. It's going the wrong way. We didn't see that coming with the whole rhetoric of defund the police and Black Lives Matter and their, just ridiculousness. And yeah, they see this as a betrayal from a city that has worked the last several years to differentiate itself from the way Seattle treated its officers during the Black Lives Matter and defund police activism. And I talk about that pretty often. I was out there with a GoPro covering the city of Bellevue Black Lives Matter events. And, Bellevue had enough cops. The one situation where Bellevue just got caught with his pants down, but so did other cities across the United States, was that Memorial Day weekend where it was a planned attack and Bellevue Square just got rocked. I was over there as well. That was domestic terrorism is what that was from Black Lives Matter, period. End stop. That was domestic terrorism that was just allowed to happen. Yeah, hall pass, guys. Yeah, there's a little reparations for you. Go in and take what you want from Bellevue Square. It's okay. Bellevue wasn't prepared for that one, but nobody was. It's like, what is going on here? What is happening? While city officials demonized Seattle officers, Bellevue officials did the opposite because we're reasonable here in Bellevue. And that's what I continuously preach. And that's why I'm covering this one, because I don't think this is reasonable. I think this guy should get his benefits back. I think he should be allowed to go through rehab, do his thing, and become a cop again, however long that takes. Because in the line of duty, right? In the line of duty. Additionally, Beretta is especially well liked and respected. I've heard that and I've seen that in numerous stories. And Bellevue firefighters subject to similar benefit limitations at 9 months also reacted negatively to the news. City of Bellevue put out a statement that basically said his contract is in line with other contracts that we have as a city that we have with these entities. The Jason Rant show on KTTH has learned that this controversy is causing officer and firefighter morale to suffer. What's happening to that guy? If this happens to me, do I really want to be in this profession? Are they going to pull the rug out from underneath me when I need it most? Which is I'm just trying to get out of the wheelchair and stand up during rehab. I mean, is that going to happen to me? Yeah. For that whole summer of love thing, I've been kind of rethinking and reimagining my career as a firefighter, as a first responder in general, as a cop. This doesn't make you think, yeah, this is a good profession. Yeah, I'd like that to happen to me. No, opposite, right? According to multiple sources speaking on the condition of being anonymous, the city's mayor, Lynn Robinson, who has a doctorate in physical therapy, has been unwilling to address concerns publicly, and she's unwilling to become a public advocate for Beretta. City doesn't want to pay. She's the mayor. Going to have to work this out. I really hope from a PR standpoint, Bellevue can figure out a way to find it in the $1 billion budget or whatever they've got to make an exception. Because this doesn't happen very often, right? Take care of your own. Robinson did not respond when asked by the Jason Rant show on KTEH whether or not the city should continue offering Beretta health benefits. On her LinkedIn account, however, Robinson asked for people to donate to the Officers Recovery Fund. So we've got a Bellevue Police Foundation. We have a recovery fund, Kevin Beretta Recovery Fund. We'll have that linked in the description of this YouTube video. Put your information there. You can gift your donation. So you've got that. Bellevue Police Foundation. Then we've also got a GoFundMe, help fund the long recovery for Officer Beretta. I mean, look at those kids, little blonde kids. Look, what a patriot this guy is. I mean, he not only has the shirt, he's got the shorts. That must have been 4th of July, right? So you've got to raise 17 grand. He's going to need way more than that. I mean, especially if Bellevue doesn't hold its end of the bargain, which is guy needs some more time, need to cover those benefits. So both of these will be in the description of the video. A city spokesperson instead responded with a general statement about employee benefits. Here's that statement. Employees injured on the job have a number of options to receive support through their recovery, the statement read. The city works closely with these employees to help assess options, navigate systems, and understand available benefits and timelines. Are you going to cover the guy's insurance or not? Now you've just told me your general deal. Don't care. Are you going to cover this guy? Are you going to make this guy whole? That's the question of the hour, right? I love the political and I call it corporate speak, because so much of what I do is talking about, well, with great consideration, we're shutting this business down because, lo and behold, it appears to be unprofitable. But join us at our surrounding stores and online at walmart.com. In a statement to the Jason Rant Show on KTTH, Bellevue City Council member Jared Neuenhuis said that he wants Bellevue first responders to know that the city's core values is a commitment to employees, a responsibility deeply held by the organization that serves our community. He was deputy mayor at the time of the incident. People want to have this cop supported. They just do. So you've got a, like it said, you've got an HR and you've got a city contract issue. And yeah, the law is the law. The letter of the law is what it is. But come on, man, right? If you work as a first responder or any employee for the city of Bellevue, you should not have to wonder what will happen to you if you are injured on the job. That seems reasonable. Are they going to cover my bills? What if I get really effed up? If I get really messed up, as you can see happens. I mean, when a member of our Bellevue family is injured, it impacts everyone. And I am incredibly grateful to the officers who put their lives on the line for us each and every day, Neuenhuis said in a statement. He also said that while the city's benefit policies are based on best practices, medical insurance carrier contracts, and agreements negotiated with the unions representing our employees, he hopes the city can find a solution for Beretta. You know what? With as unlikely as you're going to have to pay out on very many of these, because most people just don't make it, I can't agree with that more. Having said that, the city is committed to working with impacted employees to assist with exploring available options. It's important to note the city is open to reevaluating our policies in the future to determine should be adjusted. Okay, so make the adjustment, right? We're continuing to work to address this issue for Officer Beretta, his family, and future employees. If required, I intend to bring forward legislation to hopefully address this unique situation. And I think he will. I mean, Bellevue is a reasonable city. Mayor, I've known the mayor, very limited contact. I was running YouTube and Twitter for Bellevue High School baseball, and our sons played together, so I had limited contact. But I have no reason to believe that those in charge in the city of Bellevue aren't reasonable. And that's part of why I'm doing this. I'm just saying, hey, let's figure it out for this guy, whatever that means. Beretta's attorney also takes issue with the investigation by the Washington State Patrol into the incident. She said it hasn't yet been completed, pointing to a piece of the incident report as proof. The actual investigation is a joke and not being redone, but done. It was not done. These are some of the things I don't know. There's no witness statements, Kohler explained. She added, I've seen thousands of police incident reports, and this one is not finished. Spokesperson for the Washington State Patrol provided the Jason Rant Show at KTTH a copy of an incident report. It's just slightly over one page and provides few details beyond the location of the accident. Indeed, there are no witness statements nor any explanation of what caused the accident. Either which way, I mean, guy was on the job. It's not like he was off fishing and, he got drunk and he lit a firework and it blew off his fingers. He's riding his bike, trying to catch up, doing his job, and this happens. So, spokesperson noted the investigation is still ongoing. Investigators are waiting for both a collision technical report from Washington State Patrol's Criminal Investigation Division and a statement from Beretta. Bottom line, the guy's body is wrecked. So what are you going to do? Right? I mean, talkie or do something. Once that happens, the spokesperson says the Washington State Patrol can conclude the investigation. All right. Kohler says the Washington State Patrol asked for a statement when Beretta was hospitalized and possibly once when he was released. Yeah, we looked at your list of injuries and they are horrific, but would you mind making a statement? She's not aware of Washington State Patrol investigators asking for a statement since at least September. Attempts to involve the Secret Service and Vice President Kamala Harris' office to secure health benefits have been unsuccessful. Huh. Is that shocking to you? When Kamala Harris was asked, have you been to the border, as borders are, she said, no, but I haven't been to Europe either. Okay. Yeah. So is this shocking? I don't think so. In a statement of the Jason Rant Show on KTTH, a spokesperson for the Secret Service says the agency continues to wish Officer Beretta the best during his recovery. That and $3,000 a month will get him some COBRA payments made. But the agency does not have any mechanisms to provide financial assistance to state and local enforcement officers. He was covering your ass. You should figure it out. You're the Secret Service. Yeah, don't get me started. Whole thing. Vice President's office didn't respond to requests. Not shocking. Since the investigative report is incomplete, there are many questions about the accident that remain. For example, to what extent did speed play a role? Yeah. And how close was the vehicle? And the Vice President's, okay, all right. An exclusive report from NBC News may fuel speculation over who or what could be at fault. Either which way. I mean, if the guy was doing anything short of like, a wheelie going around a corner, if there isn't just gross negligence, pay the guy's insurance out. That's my opinion. So he'd become momentarily airborne after striking a curb. And so then we got a bunch of stuff with NBC, got some other stuff. Beretta will enroll in COBRA healthcare coverage, though it's expensive. He's forced to lean on nonprofits to help cover the costs if they can raise the money. Who knows how long he'll be in rehab, right? I mean, guy took a heck of a spill. There's no guarantee how long they can keep up the fundraising efforts. I got a feeling I would be shocked if the city of Bellevue didn't figure something out, because this is not a good look. This is not a good PR look. This is simply not reasonable. Officer's wife is a nurse at Evergreen Hospital. She has the option to add him to her insurance, but she's only working a few part-time hours so that she can care for her husband. So she's out of work. He's out of work. His insurance isn't covering it. And she's only working part-time. The whole thing is just messed up. Adding him to the plan would be as expensive as COBRA, according to Kohler. Beretta's attorney has started the official code raiser. You got that going. The healthcare left Beretta feeling shocked. Yeah, I would be too. You're not going to cover? According to his attorney, it's especially callous given how committed he has been to the Bellevue Police Department. So Beretta actually lost his partner to a tragic car accident when his motorcycle collided with the car in November of 2022. He was 34 years old. So, I mean, you got some real tragedy going on here. He says the tragedy, of course, was difficult for Jordan's family. He said it took a toll on Beretta, who witnessed the accident. You see your partner go down? I mean, it's like it's like a cop's worst nightmare, right? Oh, not good. Returning to the dangerous job after that experience shows his loyalty. Kohler also wonders why the city isn't as committed to Beretta as he is, as the police officer Beretta is, to the city. Well, that's an interesting question. We're going to find out. How committed are you, City of Bellevue? Are you going to pay? Are you going to make this guy whole? What are you going to do? He had to take quite a bit of leave to deal with that, and then he came back very committed. He has 3 very young children. His wife is an ICU nurse at Evergreen. Get this guy paid up. I mean, I don't really see any other option here. I don't see, I read through a lot of these stories. I don't see, well, all right, I'm hung up on this. I'm hung up on this aspect of it. If there is that aspect out there, somebody let me know. Otherwise, Bellevue, let's figure this out. And by let's, I mean we, the tax-paying citizens, and you, the ones managing the city of Bellevue, let's figure out how to get a little insurance extension to Officer Beretta, and let's continue, the narrative that Bellevue takes care of its own, and that, you can come and work as a cop in Seattle. And if something horrific happens to you in the line of duty over in Seattle, not even Bellevue, this accident happened in Seattle, that you'll be taken care of. Let's send that message out. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe if you haven't already. That notification bell. We're dropping 2 pieces of content a day, Monday through Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Love to have you subscribe, be a part. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Thanks again. And don't forget to check out the GoFundMe and the other fundraiser for Officer Beretta. Thanks again. Bye for now.